Hey, Peter. Whoa, where are you?
In the rain. I'm
Really?
I'm outside of I'm gonna go to an eye appointment next. So I just this is when they squeezed me in, so I thought I'd just do my meeting before heading in.
You just get the eyesore of the visual, and then you go for an eye appointment. They'll be like, "What is going on with your eyes?" But, well, certainly we're going to record it. So if you need to do what you need to do,
No, this is fine. The timing works out great.
okay. All right. Caregiver that I am, you know. Hey,
Hmm.
Audrey. Hey, Sherry. Sherry, I never see you all. Howdy, Forum.
Hey,
Corum, you got a new haircut.
I did.
It's
I go
so
through
sassy. I like it.
phases. That's what I was going for, the sass.
Me too.
It's like I need people to take me seriously. So there is the sass. Hey, Peter, you're in your car. Thanks for joining.
Sure, you bet.
Okay, so we got the rain, we've got the snow.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we haven't had any snow. They keep saying, although I see the Mount Baker gets snowier and snowier. So this is all snow up there.
I'm ready for some sunshine. Hi, Doris.
How's everyone? We're supposed to get another snowstorm. We didn't dig out from the last one, so we'll see what
Oh
happens.
my gosh, yeah. I almost was in Tennessee last week, but my flight got canceled, not because of the blizzard, although I think it would have been hard to get out, but
Mhm.
because it was just really foggy in Bellingham. And so they said, okay, so don't worry, we rescheduled. And it was like they rescheduled for after the conference that I was going to.
Well,
Problem
something else.
solved.
Oh. Yeah, we have an emergency warning for this weekend, a cold freeze. It's going to be in the
Hmm.
20s. I know, which is like nothing for you all, but
David, I forget where in Florida are you?
West Palm,
Ah, okay.
had to
I just
search through my closet to find flannels and hoodies and things like that. So sorry, no flamingo flannels.
was
I don't
gonna
know why.
say,
I'm so
they I
disappointed.
don't think they put too many flamingos on winter gear.
Yeah, I'm
What a
gonna
miss.
find it though. Now I like take my own like challenge.
But that's an exciting market opportunity, putting flamingos on winter gear, I think.
That's right.
I'm
I
gonna
am
go
gonna
ahead.
make a note. Okay, I'll contact Alibaba and see what I should
Yeah,
do.
I've already reserved the domain, so
So, Leanne, I am digging the backdrop. I am
How
really
about
loving
that?
that.
Yeah.
mm.
I'd like to say it's my office, but surprise.
How neat your office is. I'm digging that too.
This is fun to see you, David. So
Ah, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, because goals is a fun topic. It is. Yeah. Well, thank you all for joining. I'll hit record in a moment when a couple more people join.
Hey, Ken.
Wow, look at that. Eric's is fancy. I like the standby kind of
Yeah.
thing. How'd you get that? Yeah. I mean, obviously you're better to look at than that, but
Well, that's nice of you to say. I do appreciate that. Who doesn't like a Friday compliment? I mean, that's a nice way to end the week. Thank
okay.
you.
Yeah, you can get off the call now, right?
Yeah, should leave while my cards are high. Yeah.
That's right.
Happy Friday, everyone.
I joined a Zoom meeting the other day and there was a video in the waiting room. That's a thing you can do.
All
That's
right,
pretty
I said it's a
fun.
challenge. What
Like instead
mine
of
will be
jazz
about
music.
flamingos, but Yeah.
It was just, yeah, it was just like it's like your meeting will start shortly, and it was like a looping video.
What a funny way to get people if we did this on sales calls, just like a pitch about Amala Vida again and again to nauseism, to nausea. Like, not sure if they would love it, but it's something.
I didn't hate it, right? And I'm not a big fan of commercials, of course, but like it was like it wasn't pushy, it was just like a little bit about the person that I was what they did that I was meeting with. So
I remember working at Disney World when Beauty and the Beast came out, which sort of says when I worked at Disney World. And our hold music was, of course, music from whatever they were putting out. Within a month, if I heard Be Our Guest one more time, I understood what they were
Mm.
selling. However, Quorum, you okay if I just start? Oh,
Please do. I'm ready.
okay. So I am going to hit record because Martha was kind enough to cue me yesterday to leave myself a post-it note to do record. So that's how literally I took it. So Um, I was asked just to walk through the goals section of practice. I know some people have embraced it and some people haven't. I will tell you there are other companies such as BetterUp that live in the goals section pretty heavily and make ours look pretty like a Word doc. So you really have to drill down to very defined goals and timing and assorted other things that we have the option to do, but I don't think we're quite there yet. So I thought I would walk you through, based upon some of the questions I received in Slack, what I've been doing. By far, I am not your role model using it to the hilt correctly, and I absolutely share that willingly. I am using it for B2B and I am using it for B2C, a lot later for B2C. I did get permission from a couple of my clients to show you their information because I didn't want to breach anybody's confidentiality. And even though the section really doesn't do the notes, I can honestly tell you I don't follow the logistics as pure as I could, but I'll give you the best of what I got, and then we'll see from there. Please feel free to ask questions along the way. I am going to start from the B2B side, and then we'll take it from there. So I am literally just going to pull up.
Thank you, David. And as you're doing that, kind of the context and presetting to this is we are moving, from a business perspective, from Amala Vida's perspective, we want to utilize goals as a non-negotiable for every single client. What that means, you have legacy clients who've worked with you for 2-3 years. You don't need to go in and add every little thing. It's what are they working on today so that you can continue to track. And by you, this is really for the client because it's so easy for our clients to forget. And I'll share a personal story. I just had a coaching session right before this. And it's like, we've been working for over 1.5 years. Like, we have all these various things that we've been working on. We have a running Google Doc where we have our notes. I'm like, let's just zoom out and let's just recapture the main things we've been working on. And how would you rate yourself? What's the progress that you would rate towards these goals? And it was such a great reflection because you know what she said? She goes, I didn't realize how far I've come. That's the piece, which is why this is so critical. That's at the client, the human level, because we want clients to see how far they've progressed, the successes they've had. On the engagement level, so for corporate, we have dashboards, and I can show you what those look like, that our stakeholders or corporate clients see, where they get to see what has been the progress or what are the main goals that people that we are investing in for coaching, what are they working on? That's critical information, and our stakeholders love looking at that. It's like, oh, I didn't realize that so many people are talking about building a vision. Do they not know what they want for their career? These are executives, right? That's an aha moment for them. So after this training, and we've done a few of these, and so the intention is we've done a few of these in concept. Now that we've been in Simply Coach, it's how is this showing up? How are we actually utilizing it? Which is why we want to give, in boots on the ground, how are we using it? We're going to start doing some auditing so that we can make sure clients have goals. And also, this is a great way for us to support you as coaches if you are still needing help on how to configure goals, how to add actions, how to check progress. Because the intention here is not to add more steps for you, but for our clients to start saying, wow, I made a lot of progress here, or there's still some things I want to work on. Okay. Back to you, David, and I will have something ready to show what our corporate clients see when you're done.
Okay. I love the tie to the emotional connection because I do that in the coaching and I don't necessarily say, well, let's look at your progress. So I think that visual connection could be really important, especially if somebody's not connecting as much. So that was a good takeaway for me. So thank you for sharing that. I did put links to the wiki training, the training that's in Notion, sorry, I think it's a wiki, as well as the process map that's in Notion. I am horrible at locating things, even though I think Notion is pretty user-friendly. So I figured I would just do a little cheat sheet and just put the links in the chat ahead of time. So, all right, I'm going to go to my screen. So everybody should be able to see. I'm going to get out of that client because that's beta. Oops. Get out of that client. So Tierney is a Lori's individual. And this is one that Martha and I reviewed yesterday. Let me get this visual out of my way. And what I've done is based upon our initial conversation, I've established a number of, oops, sorry about that. I've established a number of, well, she established a number of goals. We have career exploration, developing improved leadership skills, and then success in a new role, because we do want to support her as she goes through assimilation into a new role, which wonderfully she's already started. If I look at the details of the goal, career exploration, details, for the growth area, we have a wonderful, with our tool, you could just select, it's already pre-populated, a number of growth areas that career exploration ties to, whether it's her branding, understanding herself, values, purpose, and then the tie to importance. And what was really interesting, Leanne, I think, I can't remember if it was you or Martha, was saying this is a great way for us to not only show quantitatively what's going on, but really how it's tying to some sort of significance of impact for the individual. And I can only imagine as we get further or more and more B2B clients, they might say, you know what, we're trying to drive succession planning, or we're trying to drive increased EQ or something like that, so that we could start mapping to something we know that's important to them and that we could better report out on success. So for me, for her, she identified her career journey. She was confused about next paths, as well as identifying whether she really wants to stay in clinical or not. We chose together a target date of a couple months out, which is fine. And I haven't done a mood check-in. Sorry about that. So are people even clear how to put in a goal? Should I start with that?
I would.
Yes, please.
That works right there. The I would did it. All right, so I'm going to add a goal. So I have a number of things already in here. It will pull up from your history. So let's say I say executive and leadership agility and presence toolkit, which is really common with some of the leaders that I work with. They want more tools, they want agility, they want to be able to identify multiple skills. What I love about how the growth area is set up is it really kind of sets up a thinking path for you. So in this case, since it's leadership skills, I can literally just go down to, well, it might be a personal development. For example, I love the building confidence. Frequently comes up, clarifying goals comes up. But if I go to leadership development, here's a number of things already identified that somebody might want to address as part of their leadership growth. What's great is you can actually just simply click a number of different things. And if it's not always, look at this, delegation, emotional intelligence, presence, change and agility, it's really loaded very well. So far, I haven't found anything that I could not find in this list. You could also pull from other areas of this list. So imposter syndrome certainly might come up as a critical element in leadership. So once we talk together and select, and I will be honest with you, sometimes I do not have this screen up when I'm talking to my leader. Sometimes it's just the coaching call. And then I'll look back at my notes and pull from those notes. I have to get better at pulling this screen up during the actual conversation. It's something that I've learned for myself, though, to go back through my notes and pull from that. Why is the goal important? We're not even looking at SMART yet. I know that we have the Q, but whatever the person identifies as why this goal is important. Easy, it's an open field. If there is a target date, great. Sometimes I find that the person wants to tackle it by the end of the coaching agreement. Great. So you put it 6 months out, 3 months out, if it's B2B, or whether it's a year out. Sometimes you are looking at that larger date. Again, we'll say end of June, if that's the arrangement. But because there's so many topics, you could show successive achievement along the way. And I think that is really critical when we're looking at report outs to our stakeholders, our the businesses, how the person is progressing towards that larger goal. Right now, we're going to keep this goal private so that the larger stakeholder doesn't see the intricacies. You can choose between private or public. Private would be, I probably could do this one public, but private might be that the person really wants to explore an opportunity outside the organization. We probably are going to want to keep that private. Not necessarily something we're going to want to report out to the company. In this case, since it's leadership agility, I could probably say no, and we can report out to the client. I would let the person I'm working with know that. And that's really it. And I'm losing the button to hit save.
One call out here. Do you see where
Go
it
for it.
says keep this goal private? That is, so you can toggle on and off where it says keep this goal private. That is if there are goals that you are working on with a client for B2B that you don't want the sponsor of that organization to see. So if there are goals you're working on with a corporate client that you do not want the organization sponsor to see, because remember, they have access to these goals, not the details, but like what is the theme of the goal, then you can toggle it as keep it private so it won't show up in their dashboard.
Okay. You can put actions here. I actually find that I don't like that. I don't want to do that. What I want to do is when I'm in a session, really tie an action that we're discussing to a goal. So if I'm in a session, this is the next one we have coming up. I add my notes, whatever my notes are. If you use the template, great. I do know Martha said she's going to work on for the coach consultation notes. She's actually going to add a prompt here for a progress check-in so that we actually have a visual reminder. How you doing with your progress? How do you feel about it? So I think that's a great add, especially for those of us who kind of, like me, forget. I tend to, when I take my notes, have action that I'm writing down anyway. So I have all my action steps. Whatever it is. Save my notes. And all I need to do is say, all right, here's my action. This is what I do. Copy. I go over to add action. Now, certainly that's duplication. You can certainly add it right into action. I like it, and maybe it's my old bias from our old days in Google Docs. I like to have it all together. So I'm going to put it in the note that section as well as put it in the action section. That just works for me. Let's say the action I decided was, hey, we're going to work on continue to grow leadership skills. I can hit paste. Maybe these two don't apply to that particular action. Just take it out. Who's responsible for it? In this case, she is. Hey, Audrey, I could assign it to you. That would be awesome. Good luck with that. Sometimes it's mine. I have an action. Let's say I want to help find a celebrity coach for somebody. I'll give myself an action. So it's a running log that I have something to do. In this case, let's say it's Tierney. Right here, it's going to pull down. Here's the 4 goals that she's working on. So I can actually tie the action right to one of the goals. When is it due? Let's say she's got a particular task. She needs to do it by our next session. Great. Save. Wonderful. If I go to the goals check-in, under details, it pulled in those action items for me. So everything has a map. Everything sort of ties together, which I think is a great feature. Any questions on that so far?
David, this is Kenzie.
Hey, Kenzie.
Maybe Forum was going to touch on this, but I am curious, what can the client see from their goals and actions? Is it the same view we're seeing?
They
No.
can see what I put in there. And when I go to one of my B2C clients, I'll show you what she could actually see.
Okay, so and just to clarify too, the difference between the B2B side and the B2C side is we may or may not want their goals to be public when they're B2B, But on B2C, it doesn't really matter. It's not going to anybody else, correct?
Form, I believe that's correct. Is that correct? Do you know?
So B2C is only for that one particular client. No one else has
Right.
access to it. On
Yeah.
the B2B side, we can show you exactly what the stakeholder sees. So for Tierney, who's part of Lori Children, what do the sponsors who we work with, Marianne and Joanne, what do they see? That's what we want to show you so that you know the level of detail, so to speak, that is seen, which is why you have the ability to toggle any goals off. Like if they're like, hey, I want to find a new job and they don't want the client to see, then you would keep it private so it doesn't show up as a goal.
And is this client seeing the same thing as the stakeholders seeing, or they have different views?
This is what I'm going to use the word client as coachee. This is what the coachee sees.
Okay.
This is a coachee view.
Okay.
Martha, whenever you're ready, if you want to show maybe the stakeholder view, so our sponsor view, so it is limited in terms of what they can see. So Kenzie, just so that you all also have clarity on what the difference is.
Great. Thank you.
Real quick question though. When something is getting assigned to somebody, how do they experience it? Is it like, oh, if they go look in Simply Coach, then they see it's assigned to them? Do they get an email? Are they getting reminders that the deadline's coming up? What is that like?
Great question. Martha, let me know if I'm misspeaking. When there's something that's assigned, they get an email that says like form has assigned you a new action item. And then you can also set up reminders. So it'll
Mhm.
set up reminders that say, they're called nudges. So that's part of it. So with a deadline, or excuse me, you can set up nudges that say, every 2 weeks, I want you to go in and check in on your action items and include how far you've gone. And then it's automated. You can tell for the nudges setup, like send a biweekly email at this time, or you can say send it at random times so they know not to ignore me and it's a surprise. Like there's
Right.
really good functionality so that it can do a lot of the maybe the manual work that you might be doing today. The system can do it for you.
Well, I would love to see if we have time today, how to set up that kind of thing.
I can do that if we have time. If not, I'll follow up with you. Martha, did you want to go ahead and show the, how'd you differentiate for them? I forgot that quickly.
Okay, we're just gonna call it the stakeholder dashboard on the
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
I just need 2 seconds to pull it up because it's a different login. So you can keep going and I'll just give you a heads up once I'm ready. Thank you.
Okay. So one of the other options that we were going over, Martha and I were talking about yesterday, is you can actually send, Peter, almost to your point, something called a progress check-in. It's a little bit different than a reminder, but I love this. I tend to do this during my session, so I don't tend to use it, but I do think it's a great, hey, the person popped in your head. Or I could think of some of our newer leadership clients that aren't having triads, that it would be great every month or every 2 months or maybe even 3 months to do a really defined progress check-in. And it can be as simple as Tierney. How are you rating your progress on this goal? For one, I'm just making it up. It's already going to give you choices, whether you want multiple choice, which is typically what I would do. Love the smart feature. Thank you for showing that to me yesterday. I was making it a lot harder. And typically it's percent achieved. That's what I've been using. It defaults to this 2 scale. Well, I am so not binary. It's not funny. I tend to go to the 5 scale. So the person has considerable choice. I also think this is usually if you're progressing, you don't go from 0 to 100. So I tend to like these. You can actually change these if you want. You can make it whatever scale that you want. So for me, this is typically what I would do. And it's already there. I see a view. Yes, raised hand.
Oh, it's just me letting you know that I'm ready.
Oh, that works. So I think this is helpful. And Peter, here's the nudge feature, just so you know. It's right at the top of this choices. So if you wanted to do a nudge, obviously, Tierney's driving this, so I don't nudge her for anything. She's doing great. And you could just fill in whatever your reminder in. Hey, progress check in. How are you doing? If you have a resource that you wanted to share. Shari, you are amazing with resources. So, hey, here's a YouTube. Hey, did you check out that YouTube on Radical Candor? If you want to link it, you can do that. How do you want your nudge to trigger? You can do it tied to a session, or you could do it how Forum was just talking about. When do you want it to start? When do you want it to end? How random do you want it? Every time you fill something out, it gives you another choice. And you just hit save. And it'll do it for you. So I think some of this, what I really like about what you said, Forum, is the goal isn't to add administrative extras. The goal is to simplify it so that we're really taking advantage of the systems. My gut is we're going to get a sense of some templates that we all like to use that maybe we can actually put in the tool. And then, oh, here's a nudge feature. It'll start some basics for you. Or here's a progress check-in. Here's some basics for you. Or here, oh, you're going to do a career exploration goal. Here's some of the stuff that people fill in, and you can take it in and out once we get used to it and develop our own best practices. So, Peter, was that helpful at all? Cool.
Thanks.
I think it's all yours, Martha.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen for a second then. Thank you. Okay, let me know if you can see this. Great. So this is what the dashboard looks like for Lori, for those stakeholders, the top growth areas that you guys already saw, just breaking it down by the average amount of people who are focusing on all of these top growth areas. It goes from least to greatest. Not my favorite, but it does give you some data. And then down here is a custom report that I created that they're able to see the engagement name, the coach, the status, the sessions, the last session completed, the next session, their start date, and their end date. So this is visible to the stakeholder. And then if they go to engagements, they get a list of everyone. So I'm going to show you guys Tierney's view just so you can see coachee versus stakeholder. So they're brought to her dashboard so they can kind of see her entire journey right there, that she's completed 6 out of 12 sessions. And then if they go to goals, it shows them this screen and then it does not go any further. So I think it's important to know the confidentiality level of the progress check-ins and the actions. That's between you and the client. This is the view that we're sharing with the stakeholder so they can see progress. And I would say that's why the goals card of all of this information and the percentage is so important, because that's all the stakeholders going to see. Everything else is really private and to drive growth with you and your client throughout the coaching experience. That's it.
Martha, I have a question. On that screen at the top, there was a place for them to click actions on the screen that you were just showing. So if they click actions, do they see all the individual actions as well?
Yes, so it's so funny that you mentioned that because I had the same question for Simply Coach. And it turns out that the actions that they can see in there aren't connected to the goals. There are other actions, like kind of what you mentioned in the group chat about like nudging them for registering and things like that. So we made a decision that I toggled it off for the stakeholder, so they won't even see that section. Yeah, so you can pick and choose. Like, for example, private journal is an option, but obviously for confidentiality reasons, we would never share that with a stakeholder. So that's toggled off for all of the clients.
What's been really cool, we've now shared this dashboard with, Lori, we've shared it with Posh, we've shared it with a few of our corporate stakeholders. And one, they love the visibility. They're like, wow, it's so nice to see that, 50% of our leaders are on track, right? Like they're halfway through. It gives them an overview in terms of sessions. The other thing that we've noticed that they really like is seeing how the goals that the individual has set either aligns or does not align with what the manager had talked about, especially with the manager integrated. They're like, that's interesting that this is what they're working on, but the manager told me that they should be working on this other thing. Why is that not part of the conversation? So it's been really great because the sponsor is not necessarily the person who's actively involved in the coaching engagement as a manager. And so they see a whole different perspective. And that has been a big value add. So this is why it's a big push for us to be able to see these goals, because it pulls up into this dashboard that Martha just showed you. And that's where they're getting the biggest value.
Martha, I can't remember. Are we ultimately trying to report out on the growth areas too? Not just percent complete, right?
Yeah, so what we're currently working on with Simply Coach is adding 3 more columns to that report where it shows the stakeholder how many goals they have done and how many they're still working on. And then it shows the average percentage completion of the goals that are still in progress. In terms of being able to show them anything else, still a work in progress, but we'd love to hear your feedback because I think it's an idea, but we don't have a visual. And a lot of the times, Simply Coach needs a little bit more from us.
Yeah, and I think probably off this dialogue time, we could discuss it later. What I'm finding is that some companies do want to say, wow, I have 5 leaders going with Amala Vita. There's a trend. They're all trying to look at career development. What can I do? And we can actually come back and say, oh, we see a trend where 100% of your leaders are looking for growth and career development. Is that because there was layoffs and they're concerned? Is that because there's training that could be offered? Is that because, and it really, whatever, and it really does set us up for a wonderful dialogue when we are meeting with the company to say, hey, listen, this is the insights we're finding. It also sets us up, or will set up Leanne in a great way to say, hey, when we look at the healthcare industry, we're seeing a trend that a lot of companies are interested in X, or a lot of leaders are trying to pursue X. We have a program for that. So there's a lot of wonderful data and insights that can be gained once we get through this path. I might have just spoken out of turn. I apologize.
Oh, no, please. This is great. I was just going to build off of what Sherry was asking about nudges and how it all fits together, because it's been a while since we've gone through all of this information. So I was going to resurface the training we did back in 2025 in November timeframe when we went through nudges, actions, goals, progress, and like what is the relationship? How do they all tie in? So we're just going to pivot to that. But Martha, I saw you came off of mute. So I want to give you a chance to share what was on your mind.
I was just going to say that the chart that I showed at the top does show you like the growth areas across the participants, what is trending the highest, for example. I do agree though, David, I wish there was a way that it was more clear or it could kind of be easy for the stakeholder to digest if they're looking at the portal themselves. At this point, it's still something that I'm kind of collating for them on a separate deck. So yeah, definitely work in progress, but I think the goal is the same.
So right now it's our secret sauce of actually extra information we could supply. Use it to our advantage.
I'm going to share my screen really fast just to go through this. I know you all have a lot of documents that you can review and that already can feel overwhelming. So I'll go through this. I'll link this presentation. It's also linked in the same wiki. So everything's all in one place. Go through this. Tell me what questions you have. I think from a visual perspective, there's this hierarchy. There's goals, which is the main focus area. Then there's progress check-ins, which are meant for measurements. Then underneath that, you have action items. So what action should I take so that I can progress towards the goals and the steps that I have? Then on the side is nudges. Nudges are gentle reminders for anything. As an example, I have a client who just needs to be better organized. That has nothing to do with her like main goals that we're working on as a leader, but she's like, I just want to do a better job of organizing because it's going to set me up for just the success that I need, because otherwise I feel too chaotic and she just can't get anything done. So the nudges that I might set up is on Monday morning, I could send an automated email that says, have you organized and planned for your week? And it could just be yes or no. It has nothing to do with the goals that she wants, but it's something that she says she wants to build as a behavior mindset. Maybe you have a client who in general just needs to keep working on their self-validation and affirmations. You could set up daily nudges that says, have you said one kind thing to yourself? So the whole point of nudges is to bring and build behaviors or mindset shifts. They may or may not relate to the goal, but it's something that the client wants to build on. Okay, so goals build into progress check-ins, which go into action items. How often and when should we be doing progress check-ins for B2Bs? Really good question, Kenzie. And the answer to that is it's up to the goal and the client. Ideally, the kind of general rule of thumb, just so that we have one, is every 3 to 4 sessions, you should be checking in on the goal and doing a progress. Because that's about 2 months in. 2 months.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. And then this just has the best practices. I mean, every 4 weeks also revisit the 3-month mark, do a mini look back. If you're already in flight with conversations with your clients and you're now just getting to goals, and that's okay, share your screen and say, we're going to do this together. Don't feel like this is a homework item for you after a session or before a session. This is meant to happen in a session with the client. And just so there's a linkage here, the growth areas that are part of the goals, they all tie back to our coaching plan and coaching maps. That's intentional. You asked about this, Kenzie, about the progress check-ins and stuff. So checking in as you go, but do this while you're screen sharing. And say, on a scale of, you know, the what percentage, how much do you think we progressed? So what's really cool is the client can actually see the graph. They'll see over time, they can see how they've progressed. And if there's been a plateau or maybe there is a decline, and that's okay too. Okay, this just has screenshots, action items, and how they're mapped. And then the nudges. Okay, I think that's about it regarding this for the action items and goals and nudges. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and see what questions you have. And I can link to this deck as well. Let me ask it in a different way, because I'm noticing that goals are not being adapted with clients. And so I'm curious what the obstacle is. What's getting in the way of us being able to add goals with our clients? Yeah, Eric.
I'm sorry, maybe I should hold the question because it's not related to that, because that's an important question. Why are we not adopting goals? But for one thing I was wondering, do we have any feedback from the coachees themselves as to how much they adhere to this or like this or want this or attach to it?
Good question. I personally don't have any feedback from my personal clients, and I haven't heard anything from clients. I'm curious from I also don't have that many clients to like pull from. I don't feel like I'm a good source of truth here. So I'm curious for coaches who are on the call if they have an opinion on this or perspective.
Most of my clients are B2C at this point or ASU. So I did want to ask about ASU if they fall under the more of the B2B model. But I just, since we've been on the call today, got my first client email that said she checked, she did something, she did 3 things. So somebody, one person is out there doing her actions and checking them done. So it's been a slow adoption over here, I would say.
I will tell you, I have like half and half. Like some people are like, yes, I love that. Thank you for a checkbox. And some people are like, yep, good. Thank you for putting that in there. You just wasted some of your own time. I'm finding it's like a lot of other things that we've put in place. Those who it's going to benefit adopt quickly and they're into it, and others are just like, okay. And what I've been trying to do is change how deep I get in my goals depending on their adoption. So I'm the same as you, David. My B2B people I'm much more detailed with, and the B2C people less. But if I have B2C people who are so engaged in using it, their stuff gets a little bit more detailed. And the people who they don't even look. Some of them still haven't even answered their invitation. I keep it much higher level. And I don't know if that's everyone else's experience, but that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I find it really does depend on the client with the B2C side. I can think of one client who is a project manager by trade. Her goals are smart beyond anything that I've ever tried to create as an HR person in my career. And she will absolutely, every conversation, it's time for goal check-in. Let's see how I'm doing against my goals. And they're very detailed. I can think of a couple of my clients who have said they have ADHD and are using structure as a way to kind of, how am I doing? How am I progressing? And it's been a kind of an interesting conversation with them as well. Not so much on, oh, what percentage am I doing, but more on having a follow-up. So it's more like a plan. So it is all over the place. Sometimes it's actually good for me because I'm looking at oh, we were supposed to be going over all these. Do you remember when we started? You talked about this importance. We've been talking about that. How is this sitting for you? What is going on? And it's sort of cueing me to ask some different questions as well. So
Yeah, and I can see that. I can see how it might be good for the coach as well to sort of, hold us a little bit accountable to what exactly it is that they said is going on here too. So I think there's something to that as well. Cool. Thanks for that feedback. I was just, 2 things. I definitely believe in like little steps, like let's just keep going, get momentum, build momentum. So I see how it can be good for that. But David, I think you raised a really interesting question. Like, I'm not so sure how this would go with some of my clients who are like, hey, I'm super identifying with ADHD, and I don't know. I don't know how this kind of stuff works with any sort of neurodivergency. I don't know. I don't know. So I don't know. Might be interesting to look at. But Forum, thanks for the question.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you asked. And Kenzie, you asked, how does what is this for the ASU clients and things like that? So ASU clients, there is a dashboard for our main ASU sponsor. So they do see goals. Regardless of somebody seeing a dashboard or not, the takeaway message here is every single client needs to have a goal. Even if they're not logged into the system, they need to have a goal. Because it's the narrative of here's where you were and here's how much we've progressed, that's all relevant for the client to understand. Now, the second part to this, clients who like love seeing the data and percentages, and the clients are like, okay, I'm doing this as a check the box. When it is a check the box and they're not doing stuff on their own, use a session time to share your screen and say, it's 4 sessions since we've talked about it. It's time to review our progress and check in our goals, and let's see how we're trending and what feedback we need to give to one another so that we can make the progress that you want. Or maybe this is not the right goal. It's accountability to have the conversation that sometimes we don't have. Okay, now back to my question. What's the roadblock on utilization?
Well, I'll just say for me, it's I'm mostly B2C, but I would still like to play with this stuff and use this stuff. It's just been a question of leaning into it and adopting into it for me. It's like just I haven't had the sort of ability to just sort of lean into that new workflow creation, right? And sort of drive through that new section of town, so to speak, you know?
Yeah. Well, everyone has to go to that section of town. It's a forced must-see visit, regardless of B2C and B2B. So thank you for that, Eric. Like this is a new practice, and I know is a new habit. And so I really appreciate, especially all of you showing up in this conversation today, because it means that this is something you want to do. You want to go visit that town, using Eric's language still, and it doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be written in such a, eloquent way. A goal is a goal, and you just start there. And that's how we build micro habits, micro movements. And you will be getting emails from Diane and be like, hey, this client doesn't have a goal. What's up? Why? Does anybody have anything else you want to share? Go ahead, David.
I was just gonna say, I'm more than happy to check whatever section of town you feel like you want to go to and join you, and let's figure out how it matches your beat. You're right, because we all have different styles, and that's part of it too. And we all have different client mixes. So let's figure out how to make it work. It's a infrastructure. It can work. And where it doesn't work, what's great is we're at a point with practice where we can say, hey, listen, can we look at this? And can we check that out? And let's make it a continuous learning opportunity as well. So more than happy. Well, maybe not happy, but more than willing. So.
Thank you for that, David.
I don't know if this is helpful to anybody, but what I am finding is working is my adoption for legacy clients much slower because we're already in a rhythm. But all of my new clients, I'm trying to habit stack it with. They're already in Simply Coach, so it's already new there, and I'm just trying to habit stack it with that. So I don't know if that's helpful to anybody, either watching after or now, but just do it with the people who you're getting new through Simply Coach first, because then it's less you have to catch up on. And my adoption on my legacy clients it is slower. It's just because, like you said, we're already in on certain things and we have habits, but I am finding that's helping because if I'm there sometimes and I'm doing it for one, I'll pick the one above or below if they're a legacy client and do them too. So.
Sherry, I have a question for you. Early on, you recommended the whole shared Google Doc, which I've continued to use. And in fact, Laura was saying how she was admiring that I stayed with that when we were on practice because she lost a lot of her client notes. So I'm still a believer in the shared Google Doc. My question is, how can I make it easier for the client instead of them having, how do I integrate the shared Google Doc with Simply Coach and the goals? And anyone have any thoughts on that?
If I can actually take that because I still use my Google Doc form, and David, if you don't mind, I can talk to that. I also use my Google Doc. I have not stopped using my Google Doc. with new clients, what I do is I actually give them the option. I say, we have a couple of choices. I can put I take notes either way. I could put your notes per session, or I can hook it up to a Google Doc, and whatever's good for you. Everybody wants a Google Doc. I've not had, and I don't give them bias because it doesn't matter to me. I take my notes either way. What I do is I pin the Google Doc into the shared space. So every time, so they can access it there. And then I also go in and I keep my notes, I pin my notes in the private journal section so that if they're doing a celebrity session with anybody, you could see my personal notes. And then what I do is I still use the goals and the action items. So if I copy and paste it. I make it super simple for myself. If it's an action item that I've put in the Google Doc, I copy and paste it in the action items. It takes, I will be honest, it takes me no more time than it was taking me to update before. I don't send a note in Simply Coach because I do tag them in the Google Doc, and the Google Doc is pinned into their shared space, and everything talks to each other. So that's how I'm doing it. I'm hoping that Storm's going to shake her head up and down that I can still do it this way, and this is yay, good. That's how I'm
I
doing
do
it,
the
Audrey.
same thing. I do the same thing. I like a running history, and I find Google Docs is much easier than the way Simply Coach has set up their notes, which is individual notes, and we've given them feedback on that. So until they change that, I'm in the Google Doc camp because we jump around so much that I can't remember like, oh, that was 5 sessions ago. But I will say Google Doc is like the detailed. Simply Coach is like zoom out. Where are we? What have we been doing? Progress, goals. That's what it's for. And of
Yeah.
course, to get paid. Don't forget to mark your sessions as complete.
Definitely two different tools. But because I'm with Form too, I have my Google Docs have gotten to be this insane biblical documents now. But the ability to Control F and go back and find something specific that you said so long ago and bring that back up, it's really important. And my doc, I've got 2 columns where it's like all my notes are here and all their notes are here. So there's times where we're both typing in there at the same time and like working it, and that gets powerful too. So I'm glad we're still allowed to play around with Google Docs.
That's a first I've heard, Eric. That's very interesting. I like this visual I'm thinking of, which is like you have a client section and a coach section. That's smart.
I'll send a link to you.
Thanks. Okay. David, thanks for facilitating. By the way, David's going to be the facilitator. He's taking over after Jenna, since she now is busy and can only work with us in a part-time capacity. So David is going to be leading our coaches meetings. We have Kenzie and Kristen who will be there as backups. So sometimes you'll see them facilitating. We'll still run the same format where we'll have a main facilitator, but in terms of, who's kicking us off, who's launching the room, who's facilitating the discussion, that's where we'll see David or Kenzie or Kristen. So thank you, David, for kicking us off and for facilitating this conversation. Really impactful.
You are more than welcome. I also see, back up a second, when I'm in sessions, if I open like session 7, I see my session 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 notes. So I do have a history that I get to see. So I stopped Google Notes.
Can you show us?
But that's
I know.
that's
Can you
just
show
me.
us? Can you
Yeah,
show us what that looks like, please? I love a running note.
You've just broken Sherry's logic. She's like, what?
Well, and I don't want to be the negative Nancy, but David, what if Simply Coach goes away next year and then
Oh,
a new platform? Sorry, I had to say it.
Listen, Audrey.
then I will say I have
I'm a
memory
Google
loss
Doc fan.
issue.
Amala Vida will no longer exist because I will not survive if I have to go through another transition. Don't
You want to see the sassy hairstyle she comes with up for that one? Really?
There will be no hair left.
So here it is. I'm in just a random session for a class. Ooh, sorry, that was your notes. So here's the one session, the session before, the one before, Takes me right through.
Okay, that's cool.
Whoa, I don't think I recognize this.
So that's under private journal.
Yeah.
Interesting. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good.
So David,
Got-
do you open up a new note each time? Oh, I'm sorry, Eric, I didn't mean to speak over.
Just saying, have a great weekend. Bye. I got a consult.
So yes. So if I said session whatever, it's loading. Oh my goodness, that was a long. I of course, all right, here we go. All right, this one got canceled, but that's okay. So I open that session. I would just say add my notes. And whatever you could see, it already pulled up all the existing notes right to the side. Because this is my note section.
That is super helpful. Thank you.
Now, I don't
Can you
know
do-
that that's going to work for everybody, but
Or can you do a find in there? Because I'm with Eric on that. Sometimes if I have a really long-term client and we want to talk about something they said last year, or we're checking in on goals, do you know if we have that function in there to search the existing notes?
Just do a
Or you just
control
have to kind
F.
of, does it work on there?
do what?
Does the
Control F.
control F, does that work, Kenzie, in there?
I don't know. I'm asking. Let's see if David can figure it
Oh
out.
gosh, there's too much pressure.
Do Control F and type in the
yeah, I
word
just did.
leadership or
Yeah,
something.
add car. Okay. Yeah, it
No,
did.
it works, man. Sherry, it works. Okay, good to know.
So
Amazing.
maybe it's something to play with because maybe I'm not doing something right. Maybe I am. I don't know.
Sure. I think we've
But
all just been stuck in the old mindset of running notes, not running notes, but thank you for showing this.
what was extra good, I think, from a learning for me on that particular client, she did a celebrity session with Peter, and Peter's notes came up for me. So love that, assuming he didn't want them private, but yeah, so that was great. So
Thank you. Thank you all for
thank you all.
showing up today and for the time. And David, great job. Thank you.
Thank you all. Let me know any questions. We'll figure it out.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys. Happy weekend.
Happy weekend.